In the remote, windswept heights of Tibet, where the air is thin and the mountains seem to touch the sky, a monumental transformation is underway. Here, China is building the Motuo Hydropower Station, a mega dam rising on the mighty Yarlung-Tsangpo River. When completed, it is set to become the world's largest hydroelectric project, dwarfing even the iconic Three Gorges Dam. Its strategic location near the Great Bend, just before the river plunges into India, gives China unprecedented control over the water supply to millions living downstream, making it a critical point of influence in the region. The dam is engineered to generate far more electricity than Tibet could ever consume, transmitting clean energy thousands of kilometers eastward to power China's bustling cities and vast industrial heartland. For Beijing, this is more than just an engineering marvel. It's a bold statement of technological prowess, national ambition, and a crucial step toward energy independence in a rapidly changing world. But the Yarlung-Tsangpo's journey doesn't end in China. It transforms into the Brahmaputra in India and the Jamuna in Bangladesh, nourishing fertile plains and sustaining the lives and livelihoods of hundreds of millions of people across South Asia. By controlling the river's headwaters, China gains significant leverage over South Asia's most vital water system, raising deep concerns and alarm in both India and Bangladesh about future water security and regional stability. Yet, the project moves forward without a formal water-sharing treaty or meaningful consultation with its downstream neighbors, leaving many questions unanswered and tensions simmering. This lack of transparency is not accidental. It's a deliberate assertion of China's national interests, reflecting a broader pattern of assertiveness in its foreign policy and regional dealings. The Motuo Dam is not just a power plant. It's a powerful geopolitical lever, with the potential to reshape the region's future, influence diplomatic relations, and redefine the balance of power in Asia. As construction presses on, the world watches with growing concern, fully aware that the fate of a continent's water and the stability of millions may soon rest in Beijing's hands. For India, the Motuo Dam is not just a massive infrastructure project, it is a direct threat to national security, raising deep concerns among policymakers and citizens alike. It also endangers the livelihoods of millions of people who depend on the Brahmaputra's steady flow for their daily survival and economic well-being. The Brahmaputra sustains agriculture, fisheries, and entire communities in Arunachal Pradesh and Assam, providing water for crops, fish for food, and a way of life for countless families. Indian officials fear China could manipulate the river's flow, causing severe droughts in already dry seasons or unleashing catastrophic floods during the unpredictable monsoons, putting millions at risk. The river's upstream flow from Tibet is crucial, especially when other sources run low, making the Brahmaputra a lifeline for the region's water security and food production. China's vague assurances and limited data sharing leave India in the dark, unable to prepare for potential disasters or respond quickly to sudden changes in river conditions. The dam's location in a seismically active zone adds to the risk, with no joint monitoring or early warning systems in place, increasing the danger of sudden disasters. India's downstream vulnerability is now a strategic liability, linking water security to broader border tensions with China and making the river a new front in an already complex relationship. The Motuo Dam is seen as part of China's incremental strategy to assert control, fundamentally altering the regional balance and raising questions about the future of shared resources. The silent construction upstream may prove more destabilizing than any troop movement along the border, quietly shifting power and security dynamics in the region. Damming the Yarlung-Tsangpo threatens one of the world's last great free-flowing rivers and its unique ecosystem. This river, winding through the heart of the Himalayas, supports countless species and sustains ancient landscapes that have remained unchanged for millennia. The Great Bend region is a biodiversity hotspot. The dam will flood forests, destroy habitats, and disrupt the river's natural flow. Rare plants and endangered animals, some found nowhere else on Earth, face extinction as their homes are submerged beneath rising waters. Downstream, the loss of nutrient-rich silt could devastate agriculture and fisheries in Assam and Bangladesh. Farmers and fishermen who rely on the river's seasonal rhythms may see their livelihoods vanish as the land becomes less fertile and fish stocks decline. The The seismic volatility of the Himalayas makes the project a high-risk gamble. An earthquake could trigger catastrophic dam failure. The consequences would be disastrous, not only for the dam itself, but for millions living downstream, who could face sudden floods and destruction. For Tibetans, the dam means displacement, loss of sacred sites, and increased state control, deepening cultural erosion. Generations-old villages may be uprooted, and spiritual traditions tied to the river could disappear forever. Protests are swiftly suppressed as Beijing prioritizes state interests over local voices. The concerns of those most affected are often ignored, leaving communities powerless to protect their heritage and way of life. In India, the Brahmaputra is not just a river, but a spiritual and cultural lifeline. Artificial regulation by an upstream power is seen as a violation of this sacred order. The river's flow shapes festivals, prayers, and daily rituals, binding communities together across generations. The dam threatens to sever ancient connections between people and their environment. As the river's character changes, so too do the stories, customs, and bonds that have defined riverside communities for centuries. The cost of progress here may be the loss of both natural and cultural heritage, with consequences that ripple far downstream. What is gained in power and development may never replace what is lost in identity, tradition, and the living pulse of a wild river. China presents the Motuo Dam as a green run-of-the-river project, essential for climate goals and local development. Official statements emphasize minimal downstream impact and highlight limited data sharing agreements with India. Beijing frames the project as a sovereign right, downplaying the river's international significance and sidestepping calls for binding treaties. The reality data sharing is limited, and operational transparency is lacking, fueling mistrust in India and Bangladesh. China's refusal to enter a formal water-sharing agreement stands in stark contrast to global norms for shared rivers. The contradiction between China's green narrative and the dam's massive scale deepens regional skepticism. For many, China's assurances are seen as diplomatic smoke and mirrors, masking a bid for water dominance. The Motuo Dam's true impact remains shrouded in secrecy. In response, India is fast-tracking the Upper Siang multi-purpose storage project on the Siang River, aiming to secure its own water rights. The dam is designed to store water, buffer against sudden releases from China, and assert India's first user claims. This marks a strategic shift. India is prioritizing national security over previous environmental and social concerns. The project is framed as insurance against China's upstream leverage, but it comes with its own risks. Accelerated approvals and bureaucratic streamlining reflect the urgency driven by China's progress. Yet, building another mega-dam in a fragile, seismically active region could trigger a cascade of environmental and social challenges. Local opposition is mounting as communities fear displacement and ecological harm. India's defensive strategy risks repeating the very mistakes it seeks to counter. The Siang Dam has sparked fierce resistance from Arunachal Pradesh's indigenous communities. For the Adi and other tribes, the project threatens ancestral lands, forests, and cultural identity. Protests, blockades, and direct action reflect deep-seated fears of erasure and betrayal. Locals feel caught in a geopolitical struggle, forced to sacrifice their heritage for national security. The river is sacred, a giver of life, not a resource to be exploited. Community leaders warn of environmental devastation and increased earthquake risk, criticizing the lack of transparent, inclusive decision-making. Government promises of compensation have failed to quell unrest, as losses are seen as irreplaceable. In trying to defend its borders, India risks alienating its own citizens and destabilizing a sensitive frontier. The dam race has intensified the already fraught relationship between China and India, with water emerging as a new front in their rivalry. Unlike other major rivers, the Brahmaputra lacks a comprehensive water-sharing treaty, making the situation volatile. India and Bangladesh demand transparency and cooperation, but China prefers bilateral deals that favor its power. Each new dam deepens mistrust, turning water into a strategic asset rather than a shared resource. The risk of miscalculation is high. Any crisis, real or perceived, could escalate between two nuclear-armed neighbors. The river, once a source of life, is now a battleground for national assertion. The weaponization of water threatens to destabilize the region, with consequences that could spill far beyond the riverbanks. The need for cooperation has never been more urgent. The Brahmaputra mega-dam standoff is a stark example of water becoming a tool of power in a climate-stressed world. Upstream countries like China can now use rivers as leverage, creating artificial droughts or floods to pressure neighbors. China's dam-building spree is about more than energy. It's about controlling Asia's water taps. India fears this hydro leverage could be used in a crisis, turning water into a weapon. Both governments justify their projects as national security, but local communities and fragile ecosystems pay the price. The pursuit of security for the state is creating insecurity for its own people. The Brahmaputra crisis is a warning. Future conflicts may be fought over water, not land or ideology. The world is watching how Asia's giants handle this test. The Brahmaputra drama highlights the urgent need for international cooperation on shared water resources. Unilateral action leads to mutual vulnerability and conflict. Rivers must be managed as shared heritage, not national property. Transparency, international law, and multilateral commissions are essential for sustainable, peaceful management. Local voices and ecological concerns must be central to decision-making, not sidelined by top-down security agendas. Smaller-scale, decentralized solutions may offer more resilience than mega-dams. The region faces a choice: hydro-hegemony and mistrust, or cooperation and shared stewardship. The river's health, people's security, and regional peace depend on building trust, not just dams. In the end, true water security will come from bridges of cooperation, not walls of concrete.